Welcome to another episode of the Electric Bison. We have had quite an infestation of wood ticks this year in Montana. We've got friends that, everybody goes out and hikes in the hills, but unusually when they spend a few days in their houses, they find wood ticks all over the place. I don't know what the reason for that is, but it's a reason to be careful because they'll suck your blood, make you really sick with Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Yesterday I heard of a parasite, an external parasite I hadn't heard of before. I was talking to some young friends that had scraped together the money for their beehives. They have beehives. One young lady had two, and she said that I asked her how it was going because it's kind of fun to hear about it and learn about what hive keepers do. And she said that she had gotten some help because her bees had these mites, these destructor mites. They're external parasites that eat into the honeybee. They're tiny. They eat into the bee and eat the bee's fat and then cause the bee to grow wings that don't work. That's pretty sad. Deformed wings. Anyhow, they're called destructor mites. And I asked her, well, how's she doing with it? She said, well, they swarmed her. She was trying to treat them, and they swarmed her, and they all just left. She's got no more bees. They just got out of there. And I asked her if she was going to keep doing it, and she said, well, they cost quite a bit of money. It was $400. She figured she lost on the whole deal. But maybe in a couple of years she'd go back and do it. And it made me start thinking about our political parties, how we're all worker bees, and there's not much difference between us, really. We, in the primaries, in the Democrat and Republican primaries, we pick one ballot or the other, and we vote for the string of candidates that we think are the best combination, to put on the ballot in the general election. And that's happened already here in Montana. But what we're facing now is a general election where the ballot is not red or blue, it's white. It's a white ballot, just like a white beehive. We're all the same. We all have really no difference, just our independence. And I hope I showed real independence when I ran for Congress in the Eastern District 2 years ago. I didn't accept money from anybody, just our own money, our own $4,300. And I certainly appreciate all the Eastern Montanans that voted for me, 37%. And I hope it was because I was successful in displaying real independence, Not that I'm not a Democrat or Republican, I'm honest. But I was independent of any strings attached to money, and I didn't have to ask friends for money that I knew I would lose. Didn't want to do that. But I'm really grateful for the people that got the message and voted for me, 37%. And I hope those 37% will take this thought back and share it with those who didn't vote for me for their own reasons. It's their business. A voter how they vote is their own business. But I think President Trump is like one of these destructive mites. I think he's counting on us staying in our hives, and our blue and black and red hives, and he's eating into our bodies, and he's already, I think, destroyed one party, and he's quickly destroying the second. The process is, and the bees are starting to scatter from the Democrat Party, don't you think? Maybe that's not a bad thing. I see some of the stuff that's going on, and I understand that. But I think rather than accept that this person has been helping us, whether we're Democrats or Republicans, consider the possibility that he's a parasite. Seriously, I think he's a parasite. I was talking to my wife this morning about whether or not I should say this because I've always been respectful to everyone else in public office. But it's very hard to not recognize that Trump is a parasite And what he's doing in the Republican Party is pretty astonishing. I mean, the people that go to office don't do anything. They just let him do whatever he wants. And I don't think the Republicans that I've known in my life find that acceptable. So maybe the thing to do is swarm him. It's just this election, this general election, all of us just swarm. Get out of our boxes. Get out of our traditional ways of doing things and swarm. Try to pick the very best candidate that you think will help our country and our state, that will be independent. Not by using the word, throwing the word around, but by actually being independent. I really think that's something we ought to all seriously consider. I don't know if you've been swarmed before. I was swarmed once. Well, once really, and that was when I was in the Army. I was in the Ranger part of my infantry training down in South Georgia, and I was in the back end of a patrol, with my weapon pointed backwards down the trail, looking for anything that might be coming up behind us. And I walked into a beehive, and it was a memorable experience. And that night I had my last evaluation. I was a patrol leader in the dark. When I woke up the next morning, a guy from Missoula, Clayton Floyd, was in the foxhole with me, and he looked over at me in the early light, and he goes, "Oh my God!" And I was all swollen up, I was glad I got my evaluation over with. It was the last thing I had to do. They put me in one of those ambulances like in MASH, those big old square things, and took me north to the Martin Army Hospital. I remember the medic, he was almost out of fuel, so he asked me to steer my own ambulance into the hospital while he got out and pushed it up over the top of the hill by the motor pool. Yeah, so I steered my own ambulance into the hospital the day I got swarmed, and people came to visit me, and I got out in time to find out I was on the commandant's list. I remember being swarmed more than I remember anything else. Hell of a deal. So why don't we get together on this? Why don't we just swarm this guy? Thanks.